Good morning, keto family, low carb peeps, and health journey folks. This is Sherry from Sherry's Health Journey, right in my home, coming at you live in Portland, Oregon. And I'm going to be joined up with one of my great friends. So right now this is live. So I'm going to wait for a little while for some of you guys to come on, pop on, and get yourself some coffee. I got some coffee right here. My wonderful Folgers black silk coffee with some half and half. Been going along with the half and half lately because it's a little bit more budget friendly. Anyways, this is totally off subject. But talking about coffee, have you guys noticed that heavy whipping cream has really shot up in price? I'm like, what is going on? I remember heavy whipping cream for a big carton of like a half gallon. Sometimes I'd be able to find it for like $3. Now I've even saw it for as much as $11. Oh my God. Anyways, sorry. Claudia, I was talking about something so off subject. So anyways, when you're ready, Claudia, you can come back on, and then some folks might be jumping on a little later, and we can do our get together. Hey, FTW Keto Mom. So we're doing a live together with Claudia. These live kind of okay, there we go. They kind of change. Hey, Michelle, I see you. I see you. It's so weird, the lives nowadays. I want to see how. Oh, hey,
Hey,
good
how's it going, you
morning.
guys?
Good morning. You were ready. Hi, beautiful.
Good morning. Oh my God, we both have our lipstick on. That's what's up.
I know. I actually have makeup on today, but not foundation. I was gonna wear the foundation for you today, but I was like, forget about it. My room is so dark right now because husband is still sleeping, and I'm afraid I'm gonna fall down and break my hip.
Oh no, we don't want that.
Don't want that to happen. So you don't have to work today, right? You work usually the.
Yeah,
Okay,
I have today off, so that's good. I got a lot of cleaning I'm gonna do after we're done here. I say that, but I'm not a Virgo, Michelle. I probably won't be cleaning.
I know. I feel like I was telling my husband, the more I clean up, basically drowning in my things. Like seriously.
Man, but you guys always have you guys have good mojo at your place, because whatever I do catch on video, it definitely looks very tranquil and very nice and organized. So regardless,
okay,
it looks good to me.
Because I push all the shit on the side.
That's what I'm trying to do too. I'm like, nobody look at the other side of this camera.
Anyways, how you been, girl? Like, I haven't been on a live with you like forever. I mean, I know I talk to you here and there, but man, a lot of people have been super busy. I've been busy, and it's just been so hard. But yeah, so what's up with you?
Not too much. I mean, I've been really busy with work, but I choose to kind of keep my head grounded during this crazy year. So it's kind of a safe, peaceful place to kind of put my head to be more productive instead of in the anxiety zone. So that's where I've been, and it's been working. I mean, like, I'm really blessed to be with the same company from before this pandemic. I know a lot of people have lost their jobs, and that's extremely heartbreaking. So every day I remind myself, even if it's just not a good work day, I still have work. I still have jobs. I mean, I still have a job that's consistent with a good place to go to that's very supportive. So I'm very lucky. So the things that I can say that are around me and surrounded by myself, I'm pretty lucky. I'm really blessed. I have really great family and friends like yourself, and a lot of other amazing support I found through Instagram. That's really kept me pretty stable. So.
I know, me too. Me too. I can say the same too. So you always, hey Kat, nice to see you. You always remind me about the flower thing and mushrooms and stuff like that. So I was like, I'm gonna do something with the flowers. So those flowers are for you. I kept you in mind because you're always making these flower crowns and stuff, which I haven't gotten the chance to do. But I just gathered all the flowers. I've been meaning to do like a bouquet post because I have a lot of dahlias. But the problem is I have a lot of bugs in them. So while I was taking the pictures down below, I kid you not, there is like I don't even know what it is, a bee or or I don't know, a fly. It was all green, staring at me,
Oh,
looking at
wow.
me while I was taking my photos. I'm like, okay, just as long as you don't sting me. But anyways, I know it's
was
so
it really
limited.
big or was it pretty small?
No, it was tiny. So I don't know what it is. It's like it's totally green. It's so nice. It's like a really nice light green color. And sometimes in my dahlias, there's all kinds of bugs that hides in the petals, those little
Okay.
pinchers and different things. But anyways, so we're here, guys, because we're going to talk about. Let's get on subject. We can talk about everything.
I know, it's great. Let me switch
Yeah.
to a filter so I can be a little bit more comfortable with the situation. So I
Yeah.
don't know.
Okay. Let's go. Let's go. Put on a filter.
Because if some of you guys don't check out my Sunday, that's cool. But I do filter fun on Sundays. Yeah. So that's usually what I spend my Sundays with. So I'm like, all right.
Okay, I need to do one for you too, because I've been just oh man, it's been so crazy, so crazy.
On your side too. I mean, holy moly, it's been, yeah. We'll have to do like a live just separate for that, because I know we could totally talk about that forever. Be like, what's going on over there, West Coast? Oh my god.
I know.
Can I send you some of my lake water? Because this is some bullshit. I wish we could totally help in so many more ways. Oh my gosh. Anyway.
Lake water. I was trying to get that at first. I was like, yeah, because of the fires.
Minnesota. I'm in Minnesota.
Yeah.
We have like 10,000 lakes.
Oh my gosh.
We're saturated in the water over here. So I'm like, we're raining while you guys were burning. I'm like, what can we do to transfer this positive energy over to the West Coast?
I know. Then we see Florida with the cat is in Florida, so we see them with like the hurricane warnings and stuff like that. It's like, what the hell is going on here? But it's a lot better now, so that's why I was able to go outside. I mean, it was super bad. But anyway, so Claudia's here to share about her journey. So let's get on with it before we keep going. Okay, so Claudia, she's, as you guys can tell, she's my really good friend, and with really good friends, you can just go from one subject to the other, right? So Barbara Walters style. I told you that I'd have you some interview questions. I have them on the top of my head because I did this before. But first of all, Claudia, share a little bit about yourself. And how did you get on the keto journey?
Okay, well, thank you so much for having me on, number one. Number two, about myself, I'm a pretty creative person, like proud, creative, crazy, artsy lady that just has to find any way possible to connect with nature, creativity, arts of all different kinds. And it's just the way I learn and I see things. So for me, it's like I look at something and that's not good enough. I have to touch it. I have to use all my senses to really fully appreciate and understand it. And I really truly believe everybody's creative. So when people are like, oh, I'm not creative, I couldn't do that. Like those are things where I'm like, you're creative. If you're alive, if you're a human, actually, if you're any life form at all, just getting up in the day, you're creating constantly. You're creating constantly. That's what we do. That's a part of just who we are as life forms, is getting better every day is a part of creating. And so I get about that, where it's just like, it's in you. And you can find some real good therapy with the creative world, as far as, especially during these stressful times. So hi, oh my God, so many cool
people. So awesome. I know everybody's here. Irma's here, Lynn's is here. Wow. Nettle Cookies here, Liz. So you've had that philosophy for a long time that everybody's creative. So I don't know what it was, but there was a reason why I met you, because up until like maybe even a couple of months before that, I was kind of like sharing that because, you know, we talk about many different things, subjects, but it just opened my mind to more creativity. I've always been creative in the music side, but you know, art and all that. I'm not an artist like you, but when it comes to baking, cooking, and stuff like that, it's amazing if you exercise your mind, how much you can go, you know. And then it's funny that my journey led me up to meeting you and some other folks, but especially for you, because you talk about that all the time and it resonates with me. So that's so awesome. Anyways, go on.
So well, for the people who don't know, the way I found you was back in March, right at the cusp of February, March, because it was really, I know we're getting off subject, but this is a part of who I am. So I was like, you asked a little bit about myself. Here we go. So there was this moment to everybody out there in our live right now. It was at the end of February, beginning of March. We were all there, right? We all experienced the moment of what is going on? What do we do? And a lot of people were in limbo, including myself. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what was going on. And out of nowhere, I don't know how I came across your page. It must have been through floating through keto interests and stuff like that. So I came across your page, and you were like the strongest loudest, most amazing advocate for people to wake up and go get the supplies they needed because masks were going to run out. Everything was running out. And it was every day that you were very much like advocating for this, being like, you guys, I know you're not listening to me, but you have to wake up. This is happening. That's happening. And like,
yeah,
it was just something that really strongly got me to wake up and listen to you. And I was like, holy crap. And because you were so transparent, you were so advocating, you were so caring and passionate, those are all the fun words that I look for where I'm like, okay, this energy over here is some good shit. I need to go chill and find out more about this individual, see what's going on, listen to those words. There's clearly some really strong things going on there. And then that's where I started to connect with you. And I was like, I loved how it was very authentic. What you would put out there versus what you do privately is extremely the same. So
yeah, I was kind of too transparent though. I might have like gotten people's anxiety. But I knew things were going to happen. It was crazy. And even now, you know, now that people are letting their guard down, we still have to be careful.
Yeah.
So, pretty hard situation, but we still have to be careful because I just found out some family of mine in Florida are affected by it too. So we never know how it's going to hit, right? You know, some people are okay, but they didn't say it was a walk in the park when they got it. It's different than the flu, you know? Anyways.
So, okay, so I'm sorry, I don't mean to get off subject, you guys. Also, because I don't do lives, like the comments are like totally all over my screen. Is there a way for me to shrink the comments down?
Yeah, you want to shrink it? Can you do it? You want me to do it? Okay, let's shrink it so it's not. Okay.
I still want to see your comments, but right now it's just they're like across our face.
So the way that they changed it recently. I don't know if you know. The last time I was like, what the heck is going on? So it really like shows all the comments, but then the thing is sometimes I like to show it all, just I like to see who's here, but since we're doing this semi interview with you, I mean we're pretty casual anyways, but you know, anyways, so
I love
I know it gets distracting. Okay, so hi everybody. I pinned
you guys.
What we're doing. Hi everybody. Okay,
all right, so I'm gonna go on to my keto story. So my keto journey, it started about 3 years ago. So about 3 years ago, it's important to note that my partner was going to school for computer science. And so he was going to school, going back for his second degree, and he was having a hard time with keeping up endurance with class and just keeping his strength up to be able to pay attention. And so he wanted to do something to help his cognitive functionality so he could focus more in school.
Well, your husband.
Yep. So that he could be a little bit more attentive with his ADHD. And to be a lot more owning that and being able to naturally manage it. And that's where he actually came across the ketogenic diet through my dad, who had a book that he had recommended him to read. And I think I'm going to missay it, but it's something like Eat More Bacon, Jog Less. I might be off on the title, but it's something around there in case you guys have heard of it. And so that's where it does give you a nice rough outline on keto for people who want to get started with it.
Yeah.
And so he read the book, he liked it. He decided, all right, you know, I'm going to give this a try, see if it helps me mentally be able to focus in class and be able to retain more information and not be so tired all the time.
How long ago was this?
This was a little bit over 3 years ago because I started my keto journey 3 years ago.
Okay.
So when he decided to do that, I was still eating regular standard American diet. So I was just like, whatever, you do your thing, whatever. It doesn't matter. I'm still going to eat this over here. And what I had a hard time with was we had to make 2 different dinners. We had to make 2 different meals all the time.
Yeah.
That became a real big pain in the butt for me because I'm the cook in the house. So I'm like, I'm totally always excited to cook and make some kitchen magic, but not when I started realizing this is just too much labor. And when I started looking at what he was eating, I'm like, whatever, I love meat, I love cheese, I love eggs, I'll start eating what you're eating. And so it slowly just kind of, my laziness got me to go over to the keto side slowly. Yeah. Because I didn't want to cook more than one meal. And my partner's extremely great with explaining stuff. So he let me know what he was feeling that was beneficial off of it. And he's like, hey, maybe give it a try, no pressure, but you might get some relief off of a couple of issues that you have. So mind everybody for a second. I didn't know I was diabetic yet. I did not know I had complications yet that had developed. I just thought I was a perfectly normal person that was pushing 300 pounds. So that you get a good image of what was happening.
Claudia, you're young. You're my baby sister.
I'm what? No.
Yeah, I'm 41. You're young.
I'm 36. I'm not young.
Oh yeah, 36 is young. Oh my God.
That's not true.
It
Well,
is. I'm 41, dude. I'm in my 40s.
yeah, but you look like you're 21. That doesn't even count. Oh my God.
Now I'm like sharing my age. So anyways, you're my little sister. Okay, so little sister.
Thank you. I call you and somebody else my Instagram fairy god sisters. That's what I refer to you guys as. Like seriously. I'm like, these guys are so lit. Oh my gosh. Anyways. Okay, so then, he's doing his meals.
Yeah.
I'm making his meals. I'm making my own. I'm like, you know what, screw this. I'm sorry, I'm pretty lazy. Let's just whatever you want to eat, we'll eat. You buy it, I'll cook it. We're good. So that's what we did. And I did not do any research on the ketogenic diet. So I also want people to recognize that too, that
gotcha.
I just went into it with what I saw my partner do and what I saw other people do.
Yeah.
And that was where I made a big mistake. So I didn't do any research with my own personal decision to go into that diet.
Yeah.
And the problem with that is so that would have been 33. So I already crossed over my 30s and I was pushing 300 pounds. I had developed type 2 diabetes and I didn't know. I had a lot of symptoms that told me that I was diabetic, but I kept ignoring them. So I was like, I'm peeing a lot, I'm drinking a lot of liquids, I'm having a lot of weird issues that are happening to me. That's okay, whatever, I'll deal with it later. And I kept procrastinating. When you drop down to such a low carb diet like the ketogenic diet, your blood sugars, if they're not being controlled, now you start going like this all day long, up and down, up and down. And I didn't know what was happening. So I was getting I was having a really hard time. I didn't know it was the diet necessarily. I didn't realize it was because I changed over to an extreme diet without the education that I should have given myself. I just thought, this is just a part of the keto flu, because I had read about that. And I'm like, maybe this is just extreme keto flu.
Yeah.
So what happened from there was one day we were eating dinner and this is the part that gets kind of hard. So I'm not a serious person, so bear with me, you guys.
Yeah.
So one day my husband and I we were eating food. I remember it like it was yesterday. It was on a Thursday. I had made keto-friendly lasagna stuffed bell peppers, baked it in the oven. It was super good. And then we followed it up with a little bit of a dessert. We had Carb Smart ice cream bars, if you guys remember those.
Yeah.
And they're not very low carb. They're kind of full of maltitol, so it kind of spikes your blood sugar anyways. So we had our dinner, and then after dinner, I bent down to pick something up, and then I got back up. And you ever had like little floaties in your eyes where you're like, you see something in your eye and it's kind of like in the way?
Yeah.
I've had
like lights, like disco lights kind of like pop in.
Well, like little dark spots that kind of show up in your eyes, or like a floaty that kind of moves in and out of your vision.
Oh, okay.
So I've had those before, and they've always been really small and not a big deal.
Yeah.
And this evening when I had my dinner and then bent down and got back up, I had one of those floaties, and it was in my right eye, but it started to expand and it didn't stop. So all of a sudden it went from a little floaty in my eye where I'm like, oh, there's something in my eye, or whatever, not a big deal, to all of a sudden it expanded really fast and I couldn't see anything out of my right eye. And it was just completely pitch black. So I freaked out, as anybody would, and like had a panic attack, thought I was having a stroke. I really got super scared. There's strokes that run in my family, so that's where I went straight for the thought that, okay, well, maybe I'm having a stroke. This isn't good. So my awesome partner, he's like, all right, we need to do something about this. This is not okay. Like, if you can't see, we need to do something. I'm like, it's gonna be fine. I'll be all right. Like, that's my whole entire world has always been saying that to myself of like, I'll be fine. I'll be able to handle this. I'll be okay. It's not a big deal. Well, this was the one thing in my life that finally said, you got to stop and you need to get some help. And you just stop saying that you can handle things, because now you've got a big mountain of stuff that you've been procrastinating with your health and wellness that's about to face you. So this was my
there, you're like in denial still, like even as bad as
even there I was still in denial. I'm like, even if I'm blind in my right eye, it's all good to have my left eye, we'll be fine. So really, really stubborn Taurus over here. Anyways, so my husband took me in. We went into Well, I called actually because I just started a job. So I just started a job about a month ago, and I wasn't even sure if I had insurance yet, you guys. So that was the other thing where I'm like, I'm not going to bother with the health person.
Yeah, it's
I don't know
always
if
about
I have
insurance and
insurance.
stuff.
All these
Yeah,
excuses to not set myself up for health and
yeah,
success. And so I called my insurance with the encouragement of my partner, called them up, and
yeah,
they expressed to me, you know, actually your insurance did kick in, so you can go forward. We've got a place that can take you right now that does accept your
yeah,
insurance. It sounds like it might be something with your retina, so we're going to refer you to a retina
yeah,
center. And
yeah,
that's what they did. So they referred me to a retina center in St. Paul, Minnesota. And so I went out there and totally scared shitless because I'm like, I hate doctors. I hate medical. No offense.
Hey, everybody. Yeah,
No offense to the medical
yeah.
world. They just make me nervous.
No.
So that's where I
Up
was
until
like,
that point, did you ever go to the doctor at all? Like
not
hardly
to
ever?
get checked. Nope, not to get checked. If I went to
What?
the doctor, it was because I was dying of a nasty flu or some kind of virus.
So you've never gone for checkups for like as a woman, nothing?
Well, no, I take that
No.
back. As a woman for women's health, yes, I did stay on
Okay.
top of that because
Yeah. Okay.
we came from that generation
That's,
that got freaked out by HPV. So I stayed on top
yeah.
of always that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But as far as like my hormones, my system, my blood work,
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
it's so important, Sherry, for you to know.
Yes.
Huge phobia of needles.
Yes. It
Huge
is.
phobia. So that's where,
Oh, it's huge phobia with needles. Is that what you
yep,
said? Oh
huge
shit.
phobia, like
Yeah.
therapy and everything, and it never worked. So I was scared shitless for anything that would have to do with
Wow.
drawing blood. And that's
Yeah.
what kept me away from the doctor was like, they're going to draw my blood. I don't want them to. Why can't we have things like Star Trek where by now you don't have to do anything with your blood? Just, you know what I mean?
Just
Go to the
laser.
paper. Yeah. Like we're the 21st century. Why can't you just take it from my piss by now? Everything you need. Like,
Yeah.
so I was very dead set on not going unless I'm dying. Well, I was dying basically, so I had to go.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I went in to the retina center. They had to really, it was like a scared dog where you had to find a way to calm me down for me to trust
Oh
that you
my
were
God.
gonna help
They
me.
gave you anti-anxiety pill?
Not that day, no. So like
Oh, okay.
I didn't get any Xanax or anything like that. I've had to get on it before because I mean it's a serious therapeutic mental issue with dealing with doctors,
Wow.
um but I knew I couldn't see and I was really desperate to get my shit back together. I'm a huge artist, right? Not well known huge, but as in like my whole life is encased with
Yeah.
art,
Yeah.
creativity and crafts. And so the idea that I couldn't see, not necessarily to drive, but just not to be able to create my paintings, my ceramics, my jewelry,
Yeah.
that
Oh,
part scared
yeah.
the shit out of me.
Yeah.
That part really shook me up. So I said, okay, fine, I'm going in. So I went in,
Yeah.
uh, and it was just weird. I was so scared. They checked my eyes. They said, hey, we're going to ask you a
Yeah.
couple questions. And the doctor took one look at my eyes and he said, how long have you been diabetic and how long have you not been
Oh
treated?
my goodness.
And then I looked at him back and I said, I'm not
What?
diabetic. What are you
Yeah.
talking about? So yeah.
Yeah. Oh
So
my God.
that was the reality check of, wait, I'm not diabetic. And then he looked at me and he said, the doctor said, oh, you just don't know that you're diabetic and you've been dangerously
Was
treated.
this before the blood test results came back?
Yep.
So he immediately knew just by
He
the condition.
immediately knew.
Yeah.
And I've had glasses since I was 8 years old, you guys. So I'd always go into my eye doctor, the regular eye doctor, to get these upgraded. They did tell me 10 years ago, 15 years ago, hey, you've got some veins in the back of your eyes and they're growing really fast. And these are dangerous veins that are usually an indication that you might be having blood sugar and blood pressure issues. So they were even trying to get me to like, hey, you got to go get this checked out. And I would just be like, it's no big deal. I can still see I'm fine. It's no big deal. So we can tell how stubborn I am. So once we went into that retina center, got that taken care of, they explained to me what it was. They said, you know, you have diabetic retinopathy and
diabetic retinopathy.
yep, because it happens
Retina.
To your retinas. Yep.
Yeah.
Retinopathy just means disease of the retina, and there can be multiple different types of retinopathy. This is just the diabetes one that's more general with it's very common with elderly diabetic patients once they get older because it's been going on
very rare
so
with
long.
young people like you.
Right. So it's very, very rare unless they're type 1 that they would develop retinopathy. But that's also in perspective, it shows you how long I went without untreating it. because
Yeah.
that's the only way it develops is you have unstable blood pressure and unstable blood sugars for many years.
Unstable, so going up and down, up and down.
Yep. Yep. So going up and down constantly, and stress is another factor too. So if you're a really nervous person, and I naturally am, so
Yeah.
you tend to get that to also increase the issue of getting retinopathy. And retinopathy, what it is, diabetic retinopathy is once your blood pressure and your blood sugars haven't been maintained for so long, what's going to happen is your main eye veins, like the little veins in your eyes, they are going to have an issue coursing through oxygen and coursing through blood flow. So what they'll do is your body actually ends up creating more veins because it thinks, okay, these veins aren't working anymore. We've got to start making some new highways because they're backing up with these cars on the highway. They can't go anymore. So those veins will start to expand and create some new ones. Well, the problem with that is they're basically useless veins. So they can't travel any blood. They can't really travel much oxygen, but they can definitely cause some issues. So they end up bursting, they end up leaking, they end up creating a lot of issues for the patient if they're not watching the blood sugars and the blood pressure.
So it can cause infection too in your eye?
It
burst?
Not really, because I mean, it's internal, so it's not getting any kind of exposure.
But it's going to affect your vision, like you said.
It affects the vision, and eventually the person, if they're not taking care of it, they go completely blind. Wow. So it's so I know it sounds really like a scary thing, but keep in perspective, this isn't going to kill me. It's more just a quality of life to be able to still see. And that's what I'm fighting for, is I just want to make sure.
And as an artist too, like your visual is like the
my as a visual artist, it's a part of my happiness. So that's what I probably had to take to start fighting for my life, is connecting that to the passion as to why do I want to keep this, and why do I want to not be so lazy.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm gonna keep going towards the story here. So then so with the eye veins, and they end up procreating and stuff, and then they end up creating issues for the patient. And the only way to be able to help that is you got to get those blood sugars under control. You have to get those blood pressures under control, and it needs to maintain stable for a long time. So it can't be like, oh, well, I did really good on my diabetes for 2 months, so I should be all right. No, man, you got to change it all.
Somebody in my life that I've been telling.
We won't even go there.
We won't even go there, but
but that's where, so a lot of people, by the point where they get retinopathy, they're probably insulin dependent, so they're relying on medications. So I want to let people know, I don't do medications. I don't do metformin. I don't do insulin. I actually do everything completely natural, and that's why.
Did you ever take metformin?
Nope.
No. Okay.
I read about the nasty side effects, and they pressured me to, but I said, I just don't want to do this. Like, it was, and one of the things, I'll go into that later, but I just chose not to. So I wanted to give myself a chance at the age I was to try and do it naturally.
And try it,
yeah, just to give it a try. And I'm very grateful I did. I was able to meet the keto group that I met was through Meetup. And so I met a Meetup group for ketogenic dieters in Minneapolis and St. Paul, and they're called Minnesota Ketonians. They're an absolute amazing group of people. Nice. It's like finding a church for myself to rebuild myself in general, as somebody who was really, really hurt internally, mentally, physically, everything, just because I didn't know what to do. I couldn't see anybody's face for about a month. I really couldn't see your face because my center vision was blocked, because the right eye had gone first, but the left eye was just as bad too. So then eventually the left eye ended up also bursting a couple vessels. So I was just like, I was a real wounded animal for a second there. So I met the Meetup group. They were really sweet. They were so supportive. They gave me a lot of resources of doctors I could go visit, people that dealt with people with high anxiety issues with medical professionals, and just amazing. And they gave me a lot of hope too, that look, you're not dead. You can keep fighting. You got this. We can get this back on track. You'll be okay. And I needed to hear that as somebody who's super social, because I'm the youngest kid in a family. I was never alone growing up. So for the first time, it just felt like I couldn't do anything. I couldn't see anything. I couldn't see faces, people. I couldn't see my own face. I couldn't drive. I couldn't create art. It was probably the lowest I've ever been in my whole entire life of depression, because you just felt like you were encased in some weird stuff in a really weird way. So I stuck to it. I did a program with the doctor at the Retina Center at the St. Paul location first for that first year. So a full year, what we did was we did laser treatment on my eyes for about 6 months, and that's supposed to cauterize any kind of openings to any veins that are in there. It doesn't really hurt. It's just uncomfortable because there's a light in your eye, so it's just weird. But I did that for 6 months, and then I rotated doing injections in my eyes for medications for 6 months as well. And so I should let you know, the injections actually hurt a little less than the laser. The laser's actually, in my opinion, I hated the laser more than the injection. So
yeah,
because they numb up my eyes when I get the medicine. So either way, they're numb. It's not as bad as it might sound. And so that was the first year. Second year, which was last year, we didn't have to do laser anymore because they started to not bleed anymore. They started to get under control. And you guys, that's because of the low carb diet, the ketogenic lifestyle, intermittent fasting. And then I'd rotate one meal a day as well. So those things helped my blood sugar naturally stay in control and keep stable. And it showed with the eyes that were just starting to retract back from all of the damage that was done. So it's never going to be cured, but you can keep managing it and reverse the damage. And so that's what we're working towards. And I used to have to get the injections probably every 3 weeks. Now we're up to, now it's every few months. So we've been able to expand it. Yeah.
Wow, that's good. I thought it was more often than, I know you mentioned something. I thought it was like every 3 weeks, 2 weeks, something like that.
Yeah. Wow. The first year, it was every 3 to 4 weeks the first year. So I had to go in there regularly. Every time I went in there, it was a manic issue. So I did do Xanax for that first year because I couldn't handle dealing with the doctor. I couldn't handle going through the needles.
That must have been something else for somebody who's really anxious about needles, having them in your eye.
Yeah. Yeah, because that was the one needle you can't not look at. So that's like,
oh man.
I don't mean to crack the comedy, but it's the way I get
there. Yeah.
So that was a little bit tough, but we got through it. I got an awesome supportive group of family and friends, and my partner is my best friend. So I'm so lucky to absolutely have that kind of strong support to really back up what I can do further for myself. So that's, I don't know if that makes sense, but that's what's going on. I did change my doctor. And so my eyes, that's actually why I wanted to come on here, was I do raise awareness about diabetic retinopathy on my page and once in a while on my story. And I belong to a couple of retinopathy pages out there. So I try to keep them informed on what kind of medications I'm trying or different lifestyle things that are working to control it.
Yeah.
When I go in for the medication that gets injected, it is very rare that I get surface bleeding, especially because my pressure is really good, my blood sugar is really good, and my blood pressure is really good. So the pressure in the eyes and my blood pressure separately, and they've been maintained really well. So the reason why my eyes are now really, really kind of zombie looking is I went to a new doctor this Thursday because my doctor just retired. And I went to a brand new doctor. I'm not going to bash the doctor because everybody is different as far as
exactly.
Yeah,
that's nice of you.
But it was the way that the doctor did do the procedures and techniques. I think maybe I tensed up and it didn't allow myself to be comfortable or relaxed enough to not react to the way that the injections were. So so that's why I came on here, because with my type of disease, diabetic retinopathy, I call it kind of an invisible disease, because when I actually am having a flare up, you cannot tell. You can't tell if my eyes are really bleeding because they're in the retina, so they're actually inside the eye. But this bleeding that's happening is because, just like any other doctor or nurse, if they give you they draw blood and they end up hitting the vein wrong, and then all of a sudden now you have this big pool of bruising on the surface. That's actually all this is. So this is just a result.
Just from the white of the eye, right?
Yeah. So it's from the white of the eye.
Is the retina like real inside, like in behind?
Yeah. Okay. The retina's in the inside towards the back of your eye. Yeah. And so you can't see it if I was actually having any kind of bleeding or any anything like that. This is a result of the treatment. It's not the result of the disease. So I just want to make sure I make that clear that this usually doesn't happen. Usually my surface bleeding is rare. And this is more just somebody who probably wasn't a good fit with me. We will be looking for a different doctor, just full disclosure.
Claudia, hold on a second, okay? Give me a second real quick.
Oh, got it.
Hello?
Okay, cool.
Sorry about that.
Hey.
I know that there's a lot of people that has comments and questions and stuff, but I'm gonna let you keep sharing, and then we'll get to those comments and questions later. I apologize, guys. The live is a little different than it used to be before. You could actually see the comments while we're talking, but if I let the comments go, it'll cover the entire surface of our live, so I won't be able to see Claudia. So I'm going to be answering your comments and questions and different things. So if you guys have questions, please reserve it for a little later before we close out the interview. It's about 10:08, maybe 5 minutes till 10:30. Maybe I'll let you know, because then I'll get shut down or
Okay.
so. Anyway, so we'll go on and then have Claudia share more, because I just really want to hear more about this.
Okay. Let me know if you have any direct questions so I know I kind of drag off.
No, it's okay. It's good hearing it. So
okay.
Learning something today, because I rarely heard about this before I met you.
Yeah, and I think it's just because a lot of people, like, their grandmother had it or their elderly relative had it, and that's pretty common. So I've only met maybe a couple other women and men that are in their 20s and 30s that have this.
Yeah,
and it is really rare, but it's interesting. So the ketogenic diet, and it's been really, really great. So for most people, when they start keto, it takes them about 2 weeks to get their body adapt to the new fat adaptability. It took me 90 days. So I want to share that, if it's taking you longer than a couple weeks or at least a month at the very most, you're going to want to get yourself checked for an underlying disease, because that was the issue with me. It was an underlying disease that I didn't even know. I should have known, but I didn't get confirmed. I didn't get diagnosed. I didn't get checked out. And because of that, that's why I had a harder time going and getting adaptable to the fat adaptability that is keto. I had the kidney stones. I had everything you can think of that comes with kind of the bad urban legends of doing keto wrong, what might happen to you. That's what happened to me. And
it's because you had pre-existing conditions already.
Yep.
Some people might blame it on the diet, but it's actually years of doing stuff.
Yep.
And just doing the ketogenic diet kind of brings up all that stuff, because you're lowering your carbs and everything.
Exactly. That's actually why I raise a lot of awareness on that is, there are people out there that'll try this diet and they'll keep it as a diet, and that's okay. So it's temporary to them. That's fine. But for some of us, it's actually a lifestyle, so we can continue to keep our quality of life. So for people who do it not correctly and don't do the education, don't do the research to make sure they don't have some weird side effects.
And it can be dangerous too.
It can be extremely dangerous. And they also give the lifestyle a negative stigma, being like, oh, this isn't good, it's not sustainable. And it's like, well, but you also didn't do it correctly. So you can say the same thing about carnivore or vegan. You got to do the lifestyle correctly if that's what you're choosing. If it's temporary and it's a diet, totally, whatever you want to do, just make sure you do your research. And so that's where I wish I would have done that. So I try to be the bird to tell other people that, because if somebody would have told me and just kept hammering into me, I probably still would have been stubborn and not ended up sucking it up. But I still think maybe hearing those voices could have helped for me to make better decisions. Like, I should have gradually gone down with my carbs and said, I just dropped down to 30 from a very traditional standard American diet. And that's what caused the blood sugars to even go more up and down. The eye disease was already there. I just wasn't aware of it. But what triggered that first bleeding to happen after I ate dinner that one night was because I was playing around dangerously with my blood sugars, and I didn't know that. So that's why the more you know about yourself, the better. And allow those medical individuals to utilize the cool resources and tools that they have. I mean, I'm luckily now forming great relationships with medical professionals, and I understand that they're there to help me. They're not scary. They're not trying to make it worse. But it took a lot of, re-therapizing myself and being able to say, okay, you're not bad, you're good. And it's like, I know that sounds weird, but if you've gone, especially depending on certain cultures, my mom's Dominican, with Dominican Republic, there's not a lot of really safe medical places to go to in such a third world country. So at the end of the day, you reach out towards remedies, you reach out towards more of the naturopathic stuff, and you avoid going towards those doctors. That's not to say anything negative about any culture one way or the other, but I think just for myself, I sat on the idea, I can deal with it myself. I got this. I can do this. And that's where it became a strong wall of defense that I built around myself.
Yeah.
So now going past the point of where I'm at now, where I'm on my third year, what's fascinating is a lot of the damage that I did for the last 33 years, a lot of it has been reversed. So I had high blood pressure. I was on medication for blood pressure. I'm off of that. It's stabilized and it's normal on its own, which is really cool. And there was quite a few issues I had as a woman, like personally, and those had all cleared up. Like I had a lot of chronic yeast infection issues.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
that was probably the first thing that absolutely went away immediately, because it's just too much sugar in your system, and sugar goes
Yeah, that's
everywhere.
what I
It
heard.
builds up.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Sorry about that. My stand fell down. Isn't it candida? Yeah, my stand fell down on my dog. Isn't it what it's called, candida?
Yeah, candida. And
Candida
like,
yeast.
and I tried everything, like the over the
Yeah.
counter stuff, and it would just keep coming back. So I was like, well, maybe I'm just unfortunately a woman that's going to suffer for the rest of her life. That's not the right kind of
Yeah.
mentality, but that's what I cemented myself with. And then when I had changed the diet with the ketogenic diet, that went away immediately. It was the first thing that was relieved. And I was like, oh, I just was eating too much sugar. Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there was also, God, a couple of things. I was getting a lot of feet issues because,
Yeah.
diabetics, they have to watch their feet. And the weight had been so bad, pushing up to that 300 pounds. So I started getting these nasty cracks in my feet, and they would get infected, they would bleed. And that was another thing that got alleviated immediately. So
Yeah.
that's where, as soon as the weight kind of started to drop, then all of a sudden we had a little less pressure on all different parts of our body. I had carpal tunnel in both of my wrists, and I had really, really bad ankles. So I'd always roll my ankle a lot when I was walking. And those also got alleviated, where I don't have any joint pain anymore. I don't have any more swelling of those joint points that are just like, that are, we all have felt that before, where it's like, great,
Yeah.
I got out of bed. Now I feel like I'm 58. I was only 33 yesterday. Like, this is hard. And
Yeah.
that was really beneficial. I'm trying to think of other things. My glasses. So regardless of having the eye disease, that doesn't necessarily change whether I can see nearsighted or farsighted.
Yeah.
And what's nice is once I changed how much consumption of sugar and carbs I was doing, I didn't have to have the strength prescription I had for my glasses. It actually went down. So my
Yeah.
eyesight got better, ironically. So my eyesight, I only say that because of the disease, but it got better because of the lack of sugar. So no blurry vision, no issues with the
Wow.
vision whatsoever. Um, I go in for the injection still, but it's actually just to keep certain parts of the veins in check. So
Yeah.
that's the nice part, is they're saying you don't really have to get any more laser. You're good to go with that. But the with the type 2ers out there, my favorite part is, if you can try to ward off going on insulin, because once you get on it, it's pretty
Yes. It's
impossible to
hard.
get off
Yeah.
of it.
It's hard to get off. Yeah.
Exactly. So if you can really push
Yeah.
that blueprint as far back as possible and try to maintain it as naturally as possible,
Yeah.
that's where the keto diet has helped that a lot. And
Yeah.
it is a lot to do with the keto diet. I mean, the
Yeah.
intermittent fasting helps immensely as well. And if I'm having a hard time with my sugars, then I usually will go to the carnivore diet for about a week. And I get
Yeah.
the same results as I would if I were to do an extensive fast or like a long extended
Yeah,
fast.
that's what I found out recently, and it's not as hard.
Yeah, because you're
It's
eating
actually
still.
easy.
I freaking love it. But yeah, if you can choose one thing or the other, I would say, for people out there who are having a hard time and really don't mind trying to do it naturally, it's worth it just to see if it affects you best and give it time. Because again, if I would have given up within a month, I wouldn't have seen any value. It took me 3 months to get any kind of benefit out of it. So it really does depend on who you are. It also depends on what's in your background, specifically to your story. How is your health when you're starting your journey? So if you're
Yeah.
starting that path and you have a couple of health issues that you have been paying attention to, that may flare up. That may be emphasized as you're starting to get your body, and you're asking it to change so much to go from carb adaptability to fat adaptability.
Yeah.
That's like
So,
switching the fuel in your car immediately. So it's a lot.
so Claudia, are you okay if I go ahead and just answer some of the questions, and we read the comments, and then maybe about 10, 20, or 25, I'm going to shut down the live, and then I'll log back in if you have time.
You got it.
And then if anybody else has time, you guys can relog back in. I'm going to download this to my page. but let's answer maybe a couple of questions or like read a couple of comments. I'll try to get through until 10:25 around there because Instagram's just going to shut me down.
They don't give you guys
without warning. Oh, no, they don't give us, they kind of do, like they'll give me like that clock, but if we're still talking, then it kind of is like, oh crap, you know. Okay, so let's go through it. Can you see if am I controlling the comments? Can you see it all now?
I mean, I can see them, but
okay,
yeah, I can see them.
Okay, so everybody's here. Here I Keto says, I took metformin for my PCOS for a couple of years, and then I decided to stop them and start keto, and my sugar levels have never been better. I no longer need to take that. Wow, that's awesome. Here I Keto. I know she kind of left, but she just made that comment. Isn't that awesome?
That is awesome because yeah, I could see that. I mean, that's where because what did she say she has? PCOS?
PCOS.
Okay, and that's with, is that polycystic ovarian? Is that right?
I think so, yeah. That has to do with like the ovaries. See, there's a lot of women that has that.
I love that because I've met a lot of women where, you know, so diabetes is one thing I focus on, but there's people getting so much value out of a low carb diet who have hormone issues, reproductive system issues. I had a friend that couldn't get pregnant once she went on to keto for 6 months. Finally had their first baby.
A lot of people are getting pregnant on keto.
Yeah.
I noticed that like the first 2 years that I was like, damn, everybody's getting pregnant.
Yeah, I definitely noticed that too. So I'm like, you know, so yeah, must not be too bad to at least check it out, try it out, whatever you want to do, experiment.
I never heard of metformin for PCOS though. This is my first time reading that.
That's actually the first time I've heard of that too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. And then Mo is here. She just said she wanted to say hi. She's at Walmart. Everybody else is here. Cass, lots of people here. I don't know if Rob is still here. I think some people probably came and left. But this is such a great subject. I'm downloading this to my IG, guys. So don't worry about it if you guys have to leave. I'm loading it. So Michelle is here. Keto fam. Okay. And then Keto Cat is here. Just looking for some questions. Okay, oh my gosh. Michelle said she agrees with you with everything.
Okay. We talked about a lot of things, Michelle.
Yeah. And then Irma's here. Okay, I guess there's questions here, but there's no questions. So, man, the subject is really good though, because you know I talk to my husband a lot, and you know I'm not the greatest. That's the one thing about being a couple is that sometimes I don't know if you experience this because we're kind of like opposites. The longer I got to know my husband, we're opposites attract, I guess. We had a lot of things in common, and then I realized as years went on, I was like, boy, we are really opposite. But sometimes we enable each other. So when I go off, he goes off. And so I've been trying to stay as narrow as possible, but I know that when, you know, during the smoke, when we had to run away from Portland and stuff, one day I kind of got depressed, like so many shit was going on. So then he kind of goes off, but then he goes off pretty bad too. And so it's not helping him. So I know it's a continued struggle for me, but I was looking at my old YouTube videos because I'm working on my YouTube videos again. And I was like, my husband's like, boy, you really like slimmed down. So, I mean, I can attest, at least I haven't given up, you know, but I really love friends like you that just really inspires and just gives that great information, you know?
Absolutely. Because I mean, like, and I know I've shared this with you before, but I know like my partner is probably more like you, and I'm more like your partner, where it's like I was the stubborn one. I really was. Like he had to snap me out. He tried so much, Sherry, to be like, well, why don't we give this a try? Why don't we go for a bike ride? And he's so supportive. He's so patient. He's a very strong, amazing, beautiful Virgo. So I'm very lucky to have that. And yet I'm still the one that was like, no, I'm not doing it because I don't want to. And it was just like,
you remind me of my husband, for real.
I just can't even believe how much he put up with me, because he's like, wow, I'm just happy you're finally taking your life into your own hands and owning it, and like, thank you for just being there and not giving up on me personally. Like, that's, maybe he's watching this too. I hope he is.
I think I'm gonna start, like, I'm not really like in ketosis, like strict keto, but I think I'm gonna start taking my blood sugars again, because I think that really helped keep me kind of in line, you know? And then of course, I was going to ask you, do you still take your blood sugars? Are you required to, or
you guys? I actually don't, because you know, I've gotten to the point where I can trust somebody else with the needle, but I actually can't. I'm so still phobic of needles that I cannot fucking prick myself. And I hate to drop the F-bomb, but I'm so freaked out by it. So what we're doing is, because there's other options, there is the what is it called?
CBGs, like
The
the
Freestyle
continuous
Libre.
glucose. Yeah, yeah, the Libre.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
I talked to my
Freestyle
husband about
Libre,
it.
where it's like a little, you just get the little die that you get and wear it
Yes.
on the arm. So that's what we're going in for when I go get my
Oh, that's so
A1C.
awesome.
Yeah, and then that way it's, it's cool because it's got an app on your phone, so you can just
Yeah.
wave it, check on it. It collects, I think, up to like 16 hours worth of data. So in case you can't check on
Yes.
it right away, you can go back to it and save it. And that's what we're going to go for because I hear you don't really feel it. I have just
Yeah.
a huge issue with pricking myself. So
Yes, yes. My husband the same way.
I
Tell me how
do,
you like it. Tell me how you
I
like it.
will, for sure. And I do go in for my A1C regularly. So when I first
Yes.
started
Yeah.
on my diabetic journey, because after the eyes is when I went in to go get diagnosed. And then that's when I found out, oh, I am diabetic. And yeah, your A1C is like at a 10. And it was
Yeah.
just pretty nasty. So what my A1C was at last time I checked, it was at a 6. So we got
Wow,
down
that's
pretty good.
really good.
Yeah.
How long ago was that?
That was right before the pandemic.
That's
So that would have been in
normal.
the
That's
beginning of the
normal
year.
already, right? Isn't that normal?
No, I mean normal because pre-diabetic is 5.8.
5, yeah.
In my opinion,
But
that's
6.
yeah. So I think maybe like around 5.5 and lower is a normal.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, person for their blood sugar. And we're getting there. It's definitely kudos to the keto world and to low carb and again intermittent fasting and other things, but definitely that low carb keto lifestyle has kept me hanging in there because I've never strayed away from it. I want to have cheat days, I want to have cheat meals,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
truthfully for me I just can't. So I'm just like I just stay on.
So, Claudia, real quick, I don't mean to interrupt you because we're running out of time, but tell people what are the symptoms that you felt that maybe it's a good idea to get their A1C checked and let them know what A1C is. And you need to specifically ask the doctor because sometimes they'll take your blood work and they might check your cholesterol and everything else. But if you don't be an advocate for yourself and let them know, hey, can I just check to see what my A1C levels, right? Explain what
Yeah.
that is real quick.
So if you're worried about your blood sugar because you're finding symptoms of you're really thirsty, you're really tired, you really get tired after you've eaten food. Before you eat food,
Busy.
you
Yeah.
get dizzy, you get pretty
Yeah.
angry, you get very, very aggressive with your mood swings before
Yeah.
your consumption of food. That's a huge sign that you're having some blood sugar issues. You've heard the hangry term before. That's not a joke. That's very much associated with diabetics if they aren't
Yeah.
controlled. And not them controlled, but their actual management of their disease. Another thing would be the blurry vision. If you're getting a lot of blurry vision, especially in the morning, then that's a pretty big sign that there's blood sugar issues going on.
Yeah.
If you are having, as a woman, if you're suffering from a lot of yeast infections, any kind of reproductive issues going on down there that are hormonal based, I mean that your whole entire hormone system is really, really catered towards that situation as well. So if your sugars are off, all of that's going to go down the drain. Your periods are going to be off. Things are going to be really, really not comfortable. And you're going to be able to tell, you're like, why am I having these issues? Go
Yeah.
find out. Don't sit there and sit on it like I did, where you're
Yeah.
telling yourself it's okay and you're going to do something if it gets worse. I mean, that's just pushing back the inevitable slow car crash that you're already inside of. So just go get yourself checked. Also, if you're thinking about starting anything new, anything different, do
Yeah.
your own research for yourself
Yeah.
personally, for yourself personally. Don't listen to how Becky had this happen to
Yeah.
her and that's why she
Instagram
does this.
influencers, not even myself or anybody else. Check with your
Exactly.
doctor, do your research for yourself and find out,
Exactly,
if it's
because no
right for
matter
you.
what, it's going to affect you
Yeah.
differently. You are absolutely your own little individual leaf, and every leaf
100%.
out there is going to experience things differently. Of course, exchange each other's experiences and exchange each other's stories and education, but at the end of the day, know that you got to be okay with whatever your reaction is going to be and whatever experience you're going to bring onto yourself. So be prepared. It doesn't hurt to just get a little bit of education for yourself. Do the research. There's no excuse not to. We have so many tools at our hands to be
Yeah.
able to do that. And what was the other thing?
Claudia, let me ask you one other thing. So this is like a myth because I always bring this up all the time. Does how you look have a lot to do with whether or not you have diabetes? Because my husband's very skinny, dude. Like he is. Or does your weight?
I've met some medical people that have expressed that they can take a look at your face and tell you immediately what you have as far as your
Yeah.
disease or metabolic issues.
Yeah.
Metabolic disorders like diabetes and
Yeah.
fibromyalgia and other metabolic concerns. I would say because there are some things that can be like, hey, this person's definitely not taking care of their health. Maybe the face sometimes, because if you got the swelling
Can
going
tell.
on,
Yeah, swelling. Okay.
but I really don't know. I feel like that's I don't know how fair that is to say though. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I can't see it,
if
but
because like for a long time, like I explained to you in my family, that a lot of my family members think that just because they're not overweight doesn't mean that they don't have diabetes. You know what I'm saying?
oh yeah,
So that's what I mean. So there's a good number of people in my family, they're very small, even before they found out they had diabetes. And so they were kind of like, no, I don't have diabetes. I look healthy. I feel healthy. But they found out, and it runs in the family too. So it can be genetic.
A really good point, because there is
the
skinny on the outside, fat on the inside.
Yeah.
And that is very true. Like, you could look totally thin on the outside, but the inside of your organs are just wreaking a havoc, and there's a lot of issues. And there's just a ton of health concerns that have been backed up. You know, being big or being like overweight, that's just that's one of the symptoms, but that doesn't mean every disease is going to have that same profile to it.
Yeah,
I think people do need to recognize that you can be thin and get type 2 diabetes.
Yeah, and I take my blood sugar. I take my blood pretty often. I'm about to get it again. Okay. But I'm always afraid that I might end up having diabetes too, because I am still overweight. And I've just been having like problems and just different things, like different symptoms. So I don't know what's going on with me, but I do take my blood work, and I always ask them to take my A1C. And so far it's been normal. My blood sugar's been normal, but it's always good to learn, because you never know, your body can change too, you know? So
it could. And I mean, and if it does, that's okay though. I think people need to recognize, just because they may have something.
Yeah.
Unless you're dead, you still have tomorrow to keep working on it, improving on it, managing it, and just educating yourself on what's going to work best for yourself. So I was very scared to get diabetes, because I had a lot of relatives that passed away from it. And I just knew that I'd get a leg cut off and go blind, and I didn't want it to happen. But that's also why lucky I got to connect with these kind of lifestyles to own back my life and self-manage.
Yeah, and you did it. It's like you have to be consistent though, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like with what I see from you, like you're always like consistent. You're having these schedules like intermittent fasting, going fasting with some ladies. You're always down to do these challenges and different things, carnivore. So that's so awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Let me just see who else is here, and if anybody else is asking. Okay, Nettle Cookie says, you ladies are amazing. Thank you for the inspiration and motivation. You're welcome, hon. Thank you, Claudia. Claudia did all the inspiring today. Why can't you write? Okay, somebody's asking if we can't write. Man, girl, we got to do some more lives more often, because I really love, like, we can talk about anything and everything. We can, maybe the next subject should be CBD.
I know we talked about that. It was like we need to have a CBD talk, but yeah, man, I would love that. That's so cool. My biggest thing before this cuts us off is, you know, really, and I'm social, so I'm going to say this, but you have to take care of each other, you guys. Like, take care of yourself, yes, but please take care of each other. Please reach out. Please understand that we are creatures that sometimes don't recognize if there's something wrong, and we do need to get woken up by outside sources to help us out sometimes. And I want to make sure that people out there just know that just because something happens doesn't mean it's the end of it. You still got tomorrow to try something, to be your best, to be whatever you can, to be the better version of yourself, to own it. And if you need help, you have to own that too, and speak up and say something.
And we're here for each other. Hey, I gotta go. They're telling me 1 minute remaining.
That's awesome. Oh my God.
I wish they would give us 2 hours, dudes. Like, Jesus.
I know. Oh well, it was wonderful to see all you guys, and to be on this live with you and your beautiful awesomeness.
Yes, wonderful to see everybody. I'm screen videoing everybody, and beautiful Claudia. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Man, I hope you guys learned a lot of things. And if you guys have any questions about retinopathy, right?
Yep.
Did I say it right?
Diabetic retinopathy.
Diabetic retinopathy. Please DM Claudia. Is that okay if they DM you?
Absolutely.
I'm going to say please DM. Okay, guys. I'll see you guys later.
Bye, you guys.
Bye, Claudia. Thank you so much.
Take care.